Welcome to the Nate Jones Show. My name is Nate Jones.
And I'm Cami Jones.
And today we're talking about cash, money, building wealth. How do you collect paper and make that paper stack so high that you got so much money that you don't need to work anymore?
Yeah, I feel like this is something that Nate and we've been talking about this forever, but this week especially just brainstorming ideas of where do we see people fail at it and where do we see people really excel at creating wealth and managing their money.
And these are just common things that no matter how much money you have, you can start doing these things today. And these are the fundamentals, the baseline things that you need to be doing. And they're not fancy. They're not super secretive. They're the fundamentals that people just don't do. And if you do it, doesn't matter how much money you make, you will start to accumulate wealth. The issue is people just won't take action, or they're just raised in an area that doesn't really teach them about building wealth.
Yeah. So we wanted to come on and just talk about things that we live by 100%. So the first one is don't spend it until you earn it. Basically what this means is if you see something that you want to buy, don't spend it until you have the money in your bank account to pay for it. There's no point in trying to impress other people with having an object or an item if you do not have the money and it makes you go into debt. So you need to save up the money. Once the money is saved up, you can treat yourself, right? Treat yourself. Buy the little item you want because you've saved it up, you've worked for it, you're not going into debt. This is super important.
And these are for wants, not needs. Okay, so obviously, you know, if you need to eat and you have to pay your rent, I get it. But on the wants, the things that are not your necessities, do not spend that money until your cash paycheck has hit your bank account. You've paid all the things that you need to pay for that month, and then you've invested. We invest before we buy what we want. So you've invested that money, and then you have a little bit left over to make yourself feel good about what you've done all day. So many people, they spend it and they put it on their credit cards and they max them out, and then they say, well, I'm going to have more money coming in someday, so it'll all be good. No, make sure that you do not spend that money until you actually earn it.
Yeah, I think another thing is tracking your expenses and at least tracking how much you're saving, right? You don't have to be someone who sits at a desk and tracks every single expense, every single line item, but you need to know what you're spending and where you're spending it, and if you're even saving anything after that. This is super important because how are you supposed to know if you're saving money, if you even have money set aside to buy the things that you want, unless you're looking at it every single day?
At a minimum, you should be sitting down with your spouse every single month and going through your total revenue, your expenses, and what you cash flow, what you save that month. If you did not save anything that month, that means you're going into your savings or you're going in debt to continue living. You need to be saving money, and the only way to make sure that you're saving money is that what we do is we sit down every single month and we track where we're at. How much did we save? Did we not save that much this much? Why was that? What did we spend it on? What was that big expense? We didn't really think about that. Okay, we need to calm down. We need to save a little bit more next month. But you need to know where you're at. And another rule to live by is if you can't pay for it twice, don't buy it. So we're not buying the fancy watches. We're not buying the Gucci purse, the Louis Vuitton, the shoes, the fancy women's shoes. Guys, we're not going and buying front row tickets at the sporting events. We're not doing all this crazy stuff unless we can do it twice, okay? This prohibits you from saying, hey, what if I got $30,000 in my savings? Well, we're not going to go buy a Rolex for $20,000 and wipe out our savings. If you can't buy it twice, don't buy it, and these are for your wants, okay? So obviously, if you have to buy a house or you need to buy a car, you know, I would still say try to buy a car that's really less expensive. Don't go to the top of the line. If you can't pay for the down payment twice, then you should probably not buy the car. But for all those fancy luxury items, if you can't buy them twice, don't buy them at all.
And just a hot take that Nate and I have personally is there is no point in you buying a brand new car. I know that some people are probably going to be upset about that, But there is absolutely no need for the top of the line brand new vehicle. There's tons of vehicles out there that are like 3 years old, still have great drivability. They have been maintained every month. Like there's tons of vehicles with low mileage that are way cheaper than a brand new vehicle, because the moment that you drive a brand new vehicle off of the lot, it loses value. Yep. It's not a good investment because it is a depreciating asset. So that's our hot take.
If I had car loans like a lot of people out there, I should be driving a Porsche and a G-Wagon every single day. I don't do that because I understand the value of money. If I spend money on that G-Wagon, that's money that can't be invested. So 10 years from now, I can buy 5 G-Wagons for that same price that I spent it on. And probably my G-Wagon is only worth $30,000 to $40,000 when you spent $250,000 on it. So let's be honest. Let's put our money in investments that go up. And when you're spending a large sum of money, it should be really on necessities, getting a house, investing. It should not be on the stuff that's just going to wither away. And let's be honest. Are you really trying to make yourself feel better, or are you trying to make people look at you and feel some type of way? Let me tell you, when I see somebody who's got a Rolex, I don't assume they're rich. I assume they spent a lot of money to have that watch. Okay, there's only certain things that I see in or that people wear that I'm like, that person's rich. And a lot of those things are not flashy. They're subtle.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of homes, a house can be a great investment. Absolutely. However, we believe you should not buy a house unless you have a whole year's worth saved up of the mortgage. This is another hot take in the market right now. I know houses are really expensive, but just because you have $50,000 saved up does not mean you should spend $49,000 on a brand new house. No, you should spend probably $30,000 of the 50 and keep the other $20,000 saved back just in case something happens, just in case you lose your job. You don't want to become house poor.
Yeah, so many people rush into buying a house and they become house poor, which basically means, hey, if one thing goes wrong, we can't even probably furnish the place. And one thing goes wrong, we buy an older house, we overlook some things because we're rushing and everyone else is competing. And what happens is one thing goes wrong and we have to put it on the credit card. So now the credit card is carrying debt. We're paying 20% on that. Our mortgage squeezed us because we didn't prepare and put enough down. So we're sitting here barely hanging on because we rushed into a house. So don't rush into a house. Prepare and plan ahead so that you can weather those storms. I think a house, yes, if it's going to be the same as rent, I believe that you should buy a house instead of paying for rent. I believe that. Now, what I also say is a house is a question mark. There are going to be expenses that you just don't really foresee when you have a house, like the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing. There's a leak, you got to call a plumber in the middle of the night. Random stuff happen when you have a house. So that's why it's important for this next rule to have an oh crap fund. What an oh crap fund is, hey, something just happened. Oh crap, I don't have the money. So an oh crap fund is saying, hey, oh crap, you do have the money. So no oh crap anymore. We got the money. We got it covered. Here we go. This is what it's set aside for, and we can weather the storm.
But it's super important that when you have this oh crap fund, some people call it an emergency fund, in the event that something does happen, you break a leg, there's a unexpected medical bill that comes in, you need to save up whatever amount of money you're going to, anywhere from probably $5,000 to $10,000, and then you have to know you're not going to touch it unless you absolutely need to. This is the most important thing. You have to have so much discipline when it comes to money and financial management. It's unreal. Like, you need to be so disciplined that you're not going to look at it, you're not going to touch it, because you need this in case something terrible happens.
And this prevents you from going into stupid debt. I call stupid debt these things. Stupid debt is going into debt for furniture. When you can get on Facebook Marketplace and people are practically giving away furniture and it's a little beat up, but at the end of the day, it's better than you go into debt for it. Another stupid piece of debt is an overpriced car loan. We mentioned before, an overpriced car loan, when you could have gotten the lower standard vehicle, a used vehicle, you could have saved 20 grand. You saved 20 grand over the span of 5 years. That could have turned into 30, 35,000 by the time it's compound interest. So that's why, I always say this, it's not your fault if you were born into a poor environment. It's your fault if you stay there. And making stupid decisions, going into stupid debt, like credit card debt, when you could have controlled that. There's certain things that are outside of your control. I get it. But on the things that you can control, if you're smart for a long period of time and you avoid going into stupid debt, you end up making more money, and that money piles up and it starts to work for you so you don't have to work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a side note, when it comes to furniture can be so expensive, but there's places like IKEA. There's Ashley Furniture has dented furniture that no one's used before. There are solutions out there that you have to be really creative about. If you're trying to save up money and you're trying to generate that oh crap fund, you have to be creative with the way that you spend your money. And it kind of goes back to being disciplined, right? You can't buy the thing that you necessarily absolutely want. You have to do the things that are going to put you ahead to have a better future and make wise choices for your future.
And speaking of your future, when you start saving money, you have that oh crap fund, you have things, and you're starting to build wealth, you need to make smart investments. Smart investments are proven investments over a period of time. That's putting money in the collective stock market of like 500 Fortune 500 companies, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ composite index. If you go into index funds, they're low cost, and over time, over a span of years, they have been proven to go up. Bond funds are really good. If you know what you're doing with real estate, you can invest in real estate and rental properties. But proven investments are usually the more boring investments. We're not talking cryptocurrency. We're not talking your cousin's business that he says he's going to blow up and that he just needs a few extra dollars to get it off the ground and running. We're not talking about those things. We're talking about the boring things that your money's going to go up 7 to 15% year over year, and you're going to build wealth slowly. And this is what people do. You know, Warren Buffett is not rolling around in a G-Wagon with Gucci all over himself. No, he's making smart investments, putting his money in companies that he knows are going to grow, that are proven to grow, and that's how he makes his money.
Yeah, and especially one other rule that we live by is you don't buy luxury until you have the freedom to buy luxury products. So you're not going out and buying Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Rolls Royces, Rolexes, any kind of luxury brand until you have the freedom. And what that means is it needs to be such a small margin that for you to buy a Louis Vuitton bag at $3,000 is like you buying $100 purse. Like your wealth has to be so big that it's such a tiny little portion of that where that's fine because you have financial freedom. Until you have that, until it's like 1% of your overall savings, you just don't do it.
And that's what the word luxury means. The word luxury means is, oh, I have the luxury to do that now. Okay, a lot of people don't have the luxury to go buy luxury items because they haven't been disciplined to set the money aside. But what our culture says is, hey, big hat, no cattle. I always say this. It's better to have a small hat and have a ton of cattle than have a big hat and no cattle. Because if you got no cattle, you're not making any money. So make sure that even though you may not be wearing the most up-to-date things, you may not be driving the nicest car, but you got money in the bank. And money in the bank is way more important than having people believe you have money. And when the bill comes, you're hiding because you can't pay for it.
Another good question to ask yourself when it comes to luxury is, who are you buying it for? And a lot of money financial planning, you really kind of have to look deep in yourself and kind of see, are you just doing the things you're doing to impress other people, or are you doing it because you genuinely like the product, or it's a product that's going to last the test of time, right? It's such a good exercise to look at yourself and be honest and say, is this something I actually need? Is this something that's actually going to make me excited? Or is it just something flashy that I can show other people to say, hey, look at what I have? So when it comes to financial management, you have to be very self-aware of your internal emotions and your thoughts and the reasons why you do things.
And what we've always done is, before a big purchase, I don't know how many times I've wanted to buy a brand new car or a luxury car, and I'm like, I want to do it. Like, we're good. Like, we can buy one. And then I'm like, I need to sleep on this. I sleep on it. The next day I'm like, that's stupid. I'm not going to buy a car. How many times have I done that? Like, it's so stupid to do that. You need to sleep on your decisions. You need to really evaluate what you're doing. And would you rather have freedom, or would you rather be tied to your job? And that's the biggest thing I always wanted is, hey, if I have financial freedom, that means, hey, if I want to start a business, I have the financial freedom to do so. I have the freedom to go take that risk. But when you're covered with debt, each spouse has a car loan, $500, average car loan's $500 to $600, and you got a home loan that's overpriced because you rushed into it and you don't have money saved, you're stuck at your job. You're not, and if the boss says, hey, we can't give out bonuses, you can't even go out and look for other companies because you're scared the boss might know. So you're trapped where you're at. You don't want to be trapped where you're at. That's really what all these rules are, is to help you seek out things that you really want to do in life and not have finances hold you back.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, financial freedom leads to more than just having money in the bank. It's so much security. It's so much peace knowing that if anything happens, it's not a big deal. If there's a slight issue with something, hey, we can weather the storm. Let's pay it out and we'll figure it out, right? You're not stressing. You're not nervous or anxious. And stress literally takes years off of your life. So if you are disciplined and you are great at managing your money, you're literally adding back years of your life because of the stress that you don't have anymore.
And these are just things that you can do to, and this isn't even changing your current income situation. But what I remember talking to you about this. I said the number one thing that leads to divorce is financial issues. Yep. That means spouses fighting over debt. They don't have money. The money's tight. They blame each other. They bicker at each other because they're on all this financial stress. And what I said is I never want to worry about that. And what I focused on was like, hey, how can I increase my income? How can I make sure that I put myself in the best position that if I need to move companies, I'll move companies? And that's what I did. And then I found an opportunity to start a business, which to maximize my income. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that you need to focus on your income and grow that as you're doing these things. Because there's so much opportunity out there, especially in a corporate position or just at a normal job in which you can excel and move up and get those bonuses, so you're not putting stress on your family.
Yeah, and when it comes to corporate jobs, or most jobs for the most part where you aren't your own boss, a lot of companies offer financial incentives. So you should never give away free money, right? So all of the 401k plans typically have a match of around 3%. Most companies will literally give you 3% free money if you just put money into your 401k. These are things that you should never give up because it's free money for you. All that you're doing is you're setting aside a little bit of your paycheck every single week or biweekly or monthly into your 401k, and your company magically matches it and you have more money in there. So make sure that you are being very smart and savvy with the way that you save your money, and talk to your HR person if there's any other ways that you can have free money handed to you.
And if an employer is saying, hey, all you got to do is take 5% of your paycheck and I'm going to match it, you need to hold them accountable. Because if they're putting money towards your future, so really investing in a 401k is, hey, I'm going to put my money to work for me so that someday I don't have to work for money. That means, hey, I invested this, it's going to go up, it's working as I'm working, and then I keep investing and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So someday you could say, hey, I don't need to work. Now I can do what I want. Now I can do what I enjoy. Now I can go give back to where I want to because I don't have to spend all day at work. So hold your employer responsible for those things by you participating in them and actually giving that portion. This helps your taxable income and everything. So make sure you're giving to those. Also, make sure that as you're building wealth, you go down these roads, you start taking these steps, you start building wealth. As you get older, make sure you're protecting your nest egg. And what that means is, hey, we're going to buy life insurance to make sure that our family is taken care of in the event of us potentially passing away early. So if you have a spouse and you have kids and you're in a house, what if your income was taken away? Could your spouse continue to pay for the house and continue to pay for that current standard of living now that your paycheck is gone? That's essentially what life insurance is for. And you have to determine how many years until that spouse potentially finds somebody else maybe. But really, life insurance is to allow your family to grieve for you without having the financial stress of saying, okay, how are we going to pay for the funeral? And am I going to have to sell this house? What are we going to do? The stress. They should be thinking about you and a remembrance of you if that happens. And another thing to do is make sure that you have a will, a living will, or a trust. In a lot of states, wills only hold up to a certain threshold of assets. If those assets exceed that threshold, wills do not hold up in court. So then it goes to probate court, and then the court's determining what to do with your money. And I always say, hey, I want to tell my money where it needs to go. I don't want the court to tell me where it needs to go. So make sure that you have that trust. And yeah, these things cost a little bit of money. Life insurance probably costs a cup of coffee almost every single day, or half a cup of coffee. I don't know what it is. And then wills and trusts, going to a local estate attorney, making sure that they get set up. Yeah, it takes time, but you're protecting your family and you're setting yourself up, doing the adult thing. So if something happens, people are taken care of.
And I would just put out that when it comes to protecting your nest egg, creating the life insurance, the wills, the estate planning aspect, really that should be once you have kind of set yourself up financially. So you're out of debt, you have some money saved up in an oh crap fund in case something happens, you're feeling pretty good. At that point, then I would invest the money, because it does take money, like Nate said, to set up insurance, life insurance, to set up a will and trust and make sure those things are managed. But in the long run, it's going to be worth it. So those are definitely the things that I would do after I have everything kind of established and in a good position. But it's definitely worth investing into at that point.
And maybe you're sitting here and you're saying, okay, look, I want to build wealth, and you stumbled upon this video or whatever. You know, if you go look at my channel, there are so many ways in which you can make more money. My entire YouTube channel is centered around starting businesses, and a lot of the businesses require not much down. And I've shown how you can basically probably replace most of your income, the people that are watching this, by starting a business without having that many employees, without having really any employees. And a lot of people don't understand that there's so much money in being a business owner, and there's financial freedom in it as well. But go check out my channel, go check out the videos, because the true financial freedom, yes, if you work for somebody else for 30 years, you're able to retire. But if you're a business owner, you can move that timeline up and really start accruing wealth. And because if you build the right business, you have your 401k as a business owner, and then you also have your business in which you can sell in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you like this video, please give us a subscribe, like it, let us know in the comments if there's anything you disagree with, anything you would add additional. If there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know. We'd love to help answer those comments.
Yeah. And we have a lot of big stuff coming in the future. We have some people coming on as guests to the podcast, so feel free to tune in. Every Wednesday, we're dropping a podcast on YouTube, so check it out and take care.